Hey guys! Once achieving Afterimage Platinum, let's check its story, gameplay, graphics and music. Be sure to look at the timestamps in case there's something specific you wanna see, and in case you are interested in some of the bugs I experienced, they are in the graphics section. I mention this because I kinda remember seeing some comments about them when the game first came out, also reason why I didn't play it right away. And without further ado, let's begin. In a summarized way, Afterimage begins explaining the aftermath of the war between humans and Goliaths, and how humans lost the gifts given by God. Once that small cinematic ends, we will see our main character, Renee, who's patrolling the Rubywood Desert. Eventually they hear disturbing sounds within this area, where Ifree and Renee confront a wolf. However, after defeating the wolf, it turned into an abhorrent beast, beating Renee in one shot. After this, we can hear a fragment of Renee's past, where she asks, who is she? A special person, able to survive in this world. Seconds later, she awakes in the confluence of the village, confused by not being in the Sea of Souls. Once they gather their thoughts, Ifree and Renee make haste to inform Eros about the presence of the beast. However, while returning they find a hooded woman who warns Renee to not get close to those who dress like her. Without more, she uses a crystallization spell, leaving a chunk of dew behind. Once this conversation ends, Renee and Ifree start moving towards the village. Unfortunately, the monster had already destroyed it, and Eros is nowhere to be found, so they start looking for her, finding once again the hooded woman who's casting a spell to Eros, where she is being returned into her crystal. Without more, the hooded woman tells Renee to not interfere if she doesn't know what is going on. In this point, all we know is that Renee has no real idea of who she is. The village was destroyed by monsters that shouldn't be there, and Eros' soul was captured by this mysterious character. From this point onwards, Renee and Ifree are set free to find all the pieces of this convoluted puzzle, where later down the line we will find who is Renee, Ifree, what do they mean with the guardian race, the Goliaths, the Institute. So be prepared, because for a Metroidvania, this game has a really complex story that in all honesty took me a while to fully understand, because they throw many concepts quite fast, but once you start putting all the pieces together, I gotta say, it was a beautiful story, convoluted but beautiful, filled with many likable characters and some interesting antagonists here and there. At first the game may give childish vibes, but the further you get, there are some weird things going on, and once you reach the end of the story, the game offers many endings. Some of them easy to get, and a couple that I will say, damn, getting that ending is not quite orthodox. And the New Game Plus offers the last pieces of the puzzle to completely understand what happened since the beginning. For me, this story is a 9. Quite complex because the way they explain things is not that common, so it can be kinda confusing. For the gameplay, this game gives you the chance to use different kind of weapons, magics and equipment to customize your adventure however you feel much more comfortable. On that front, if you are not good at exploring or finding your way, this game is going to be kinda hard, because it is like a traditional and well-executed Metroidvania that takes you a bit by the hand, but once you acquire some basic skills like double jump, slide and stuff like that, it is up to you where you wanna explore. And that is something I enjoy a lot, because oftentimes platformers with little to no exploration are sold as Metroidvanias. Ironically, they guide you the whole way, and if you wanna break a sequence, you need to do something kinda gimmicky. But Afterimage offers an extraordinary level design, where at least for my experience and normal difficulty, I was able to fight enemies that were around 20 to 30 levels above me, and the platforming was superb. Because oftentimes I was like, okay, that platform over there is not quite high, so if I can jump above another enemy, for sure I can reach that area. Or that enemy might help me to reach that item that otherwise I may get really late in the game. And that is the reason why I said that if you're not that good at exploring plus some platforming, most likely you are going to have a hard time, because not long after you start, you reach an area where enemies are somewhere around 30 to 35 levels above you, so trying to venture further is a bad idea. And even if we say something like, be sure to fight that monster if you are confident in your skills. On that front, if you like to explore, there are many places to visit. About the first bosses, perhaps they were a bit too easy. I didn't see a game over after I was testing my luck with really tough enemies somewhere around 20 hours into the game. I will say that if you enjoy these games with a decent challenge, Probably it's better if you begin with advanced difficulty, otherwise I will say that the real challenge comes after a while. Here it is worth mentioning that this game is not hardcore or something to fear. If you are interested in it, just beware about the enemies that have a red symbol above their sprites. Probably you are going to be defeated a couple of times, but once you map the area and reach some other places, you'll see enemies around your levels, so it comes down to be a bit persistent and test your skills. On this end, take a bit of your time to test different weapons and check which skills are the ones that align with your kind of gameplay. In my case, most of the game I run with lucky items to increase drops and stuff like that. Regarding different items and loadouts, what this game needed was something to save particular items and weapons, because oftentimes I was lazy to change weapons, armor and accessories, so I would have suggested to add a system like Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, where you can have 3 loadouts with fast access. Regarding subquests and stuff like that, once again the game offers a lot, because there is a good number of NPCs that have a kind of backstory here and there, so you will find them, have a chat, then later down the line cross paths once again and keep progressing their quests, and as you complete them, you'll receive some interesting items. However, some of them are quite gimmicky, and there was one that I finished the subquest and saw no trophy, until I randomly started looking around while getting all the weapons, where I randomly stumbled upon the end of that particular quest. That definitely made me wonder what kind of things I left behind. And if you are set to find all the items, the best recommendation I can offer is to take the time to place icons on chests that you cannot reach, gates that you cannot open, particular barriers or stuff like that. Later down the line, when you have 80% of the skills, it's going to be really easy to find your way. Its gameplay is a 10 for me. This game offers an extraordinary level design that invites you to explore and test many things throughout the whole story. For the graphics, here I usually check game performance, creativity, design, among other technical things. This is the PS4 game that gave me the chance to upgrade it into the PS5, and as I said at the beginning of the video, the game also was patched. Glitches or bugs worth mentioning is that the game froze 2 times in random ways. It doesn't bother me because it autosaves quite often. Sometimes you can see like a weird sprite of attacks, something like the hitbox of the attack. Most commonly with some frogs later in the game, and salamanders. They look weird, but they don't bother me. A funny glitch, or not sure how to call it, is that when I was looking for all the items, I hit a spike, and suddenly the game transported me quite far, so I was like, wait a what, pero qué mamada acaba de pasar? Another glitch when the game didn't change tracks, so I was hearing 2 tracks at the same time, more or less like this. All I had to do was close and enter the game. In the New Game Plus, there is a character that moves a bit different. For obvious reasons I am not going to show it here, but sometimes the screen moved a bit weird, and it kind of fits if I start dashing. And there is nothing extra to mention as I had no real issues getting trophies, accessing areas, or something in detriment of the game. Other than the weird frame thing in the New Game Plus, everything flowed smoothly. As for the creativity of the game, I have to say, I liked it a lot. At first, as I said, it gave me some child vibes because of the kind of enemies that you see at first, but it didn't take long to fight interesting enemies or look extraordinary areas. And for the first time in a while, you are not going to hear me say that they repainted the same enemies every single time. Sure, there are some enemies that are similar here and there, but each area was something to behold. For me, the graphics are 9.5. If I don't give it a 10, it's because I understand that the small issues I mentioned at the beginning can be bothersome for some. As for the music, most of it is ambience music. It is not like you are going to hear a sticky rhythm here and there. Maybe the melodies were a bit too calm for its own good. Personally, I like them. But there were areas where it definitely needed something different, because in places like the laboratory, the town of exile, and some other places I consider the kind of ambience that they had were perfectly on point. But keeping the whole game in the same or similar wave can be a bit tiresome. Nonetheless, don't let this affect the experience, because in reality the tracks that the game has are quite good. I will say it is a solid 8.5. And it is always a nice detail to have the chance to download the whole soundtrack and art of the game. Afterimage final score is a 9.2. Definitely recommended for those who like Metroidvanias, where there is little to no restrictions in many places. A game that offers beautiful art, level design, and a great story. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.